Thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure to give this talk. Basically, I wanted to tell you about the building of a Cyber Infrastructure Center of Excellence that serves the National Science Foundation large facilities. And we are currently in a pilot phase, really thinking about how this center should look like and what we can do to improve and enhance the cyber infrastructure that the large facilities rely on. First of all, I wanted to give a definition that we're using for cyber infrastructure in our project. So this is a definition from a publication by Craig Stewart from Indiana University, where he and his co-authors define cyber infrastructure as consisting of computing systems, data storage systems, advanced instruments and data repositories, visualization environments, and people that are all linked together by software and high performance networks to improve research and productivity, to enable breakthroughs not otherwise possible. What I particularly like about this definition is that it includes people. So it recognizes the importance of CI professionals within the broader cyber infrastructure ecosystem. Obviously, cyber infrastructure is present in a number of scientific endeavors today, but it is also a critical component within the large facilities that are serving a large number of scientists in the US and globally. Some of the examples of these large collaborations, large facilities include the LIGO, which is searching for gravitational waves. It includes instrument telescopes of a National Radio Astronomy Observatory that are looking for exoplanets. And it includes OI, which is an Ocean Observatory Initiative that looks to understand oceans and coastal ecosystems. And for example, NEON as well, that's studying how is climate changing in the US over the next decades. So these are just some examples of these facilities. If you count them up, there are probably 20, 25 of them that are being currently funded in the US, and there are others that are being planned as well. The National Science Foundation has been organizing workshops that look at the cyber infrastructure within the large facilities. There was a workshop that was organized in 2017, and I participated in the organization of that meeting. As part of a report from that workshop, there were various recommendations that were put forward by the large facilities community and the cyber infrastructure community as well. One of these recommendations was to establish a center of excellence that would follow a model that's similar to Trusted CI. Back then it was called CTSC. And basically the center would focus on CI technologies. It will provide expertise in that area. It will gather and disseminate effective practices that are related to the large facilities as they are being conceptualized, built, and they operate. Also in that report was the recommendation for the need to foster the creation of a facility CI community and to establish mechanisms and resources that would enable the community to interact, collaborate, and share. So my collaborators and I took this report, and through discussions with NSF, we proposed a pilot effort to see how this Center for Cyber Infrastructure Center of Excellence could be built. And we were awarded in 2018 a pilot effort to really develop a model and a plan for a cyber infrastructure of excellence. We wanted that center to be dedicated to the enhancement of cyber infrastructure for science, to be a platform for knowledge sharing and community building, a forum for discussions about sustainability and workforce development and training. We really wanted to be a key partner in the establishment of new large facilities and large cyber infrastructure projects, and also the improvement as they are changing over time. In this effort, we're also partnering with other community efforts. I mentioned Trusted CI before. This is a center of excellence funded by NSF to support research and development in the area of cybersecurity. There's Research Talk that also focuses on cybersecurity issues. Science Gateways Community Institute, which looks at gateways that are being developed within NSF. The Open Science Grid, which is a large platform for high throughput computing, and others. And now I'll talk a little bit about why we partner with these big centers and efforts. Oops. So we have, the project is led out of USC, but we have collaborators at Renzi, University of Notre Dame, University of Utah, Indiana University, and we also partnered with, in a funded way, with Trusted CI, where we co-fund personnel. At USC, we have a team that includes Matt Rinch, who works primarily with workflow management system users on the Open Science Grid and Exceed. Karan Vahi, who is the lead architect for Pegasus workflow management system. Loic Potier, who brings expertise in high performance computing. Rafael Ferreira da Silva, who has expertise in workflow management and resource management. And we also have Wendy Whitcup, who is a project manager for the pilot effort and started at ISI early this year and already contributed greatly to this work. We have partners at Renzi, where we have CoE Anubhav Mandal, Ilya Baldin, Laura Christopherson, and Eric Scott. They are contributing expertise in the area of resource management, networking, clouds, and social science. At Notre Dame, we have Jarek Nabrzewski, who is a co-PI, and we also have Jane Wingard, Charles Varderman, and Mary Goshen, who contributed expertise in the area of workforce development, sensors, operations, and semantic technologies. We also have partners at Utah with Valerio Pascucci and Rob Ritchie as co-PIs, and Marina Kogan and Steve Petrusa. They have a long history of experience in data management, visualization, clouds, large-scale CI deployments, crisis informatics, and social computing. We are rounding out our team with Indiana University and Angela Murillo, who is a data archiving expert. And as I mentioned before, we also have a funded collaboration with Trusted CI with Susan Sons and Josh Drake, who are bringing their expertise from the cybersecurity area, and they're also helping us partner with Trusted CI in a way that we can coordinate our efforts when we work with large facilities and the broader community. So our overall strategy is to, in this pilot phase, is to first of all recognize that there's a lot of experience and expertise within the large facilities, but they're also very mission focused. So when we engage with them, we need to be mindful of that. We want to learn from them about what they're currently doing within their cyber infrastructure and also what they hope to achieve. We want to build on existing knowledge, tools, and community efforts, and we are not developing any software. We're really developing expertise. We're trying to avoid duplication and partner where appropriate. And altogether, we seek to provide added value rather than duplicating others' efforts. Although we are not developing software, sometimes we might develop proof of concepts that can enhance the particular large facility cyber infrastructure, but we really keep the separation between what we do and what goes into the large facilities. They need to take ownership of their own software, and they do. So they can look at our proof of concept and then incorporate some of these concepts into their own cyber infrastructure. And in this pilot effort, we've been working with the large facilities and the broader cyber infrastructure community to build a blueprint for the CI/CoE. I mentioned the partnerships we have with Trusted CI. We're sharing personnel and particularly working in the area of identity management. With the Open Science Grid, we bring in the expertise on data and workload management, and we share expertise with them. With the science gateways, we share expertise in the area of portals and tools. And then we also have partnerships with the Campus Research Computing Consortium to look at issues of workforce development. So they really focus on the campus side of things, people that work in research computing on campuses, where we focus on the CI practitioners that are a part of the large facilities. We also have an advisory board with people that represent some of the large facilities, such as LIGO and NEON, and we have experts with in various areas of IoT, bioinformatics, high throughput computing, and cybersecurity, and the gateways are represented here as well. Over the lifetime of a pilot, we developed an engagement methodology of how we engage with a particular large facility. So we have to start somewhere. So sometimes we seek introductions from the National Science Foundation program officers. We also participate in meetings such as the large facilities workshops, over large facilities cyber infrastructure workshops. We start off with initial technical group discussions to define possible avenues of engagement, what it is that the large facilities need, what it is that we can provide. In our first year in 2018, we're able to have in-person meetings, and I'll talk a little bit about our engagement with NEON during that time, where we had a whole team, or most of the team meetings in Boulder with NEON. And then we had follow-on discussions, virtual discussions, conference calls, focused on particular topics. In that first broader meeting, we identified the topics for engagement. We set up working groups, so that has been working really well for us. Defining working groups that work on particular topics and have members from both teams. We had various follow-on conference calls, emails. We participated in meetings. And then towards the end of the engagement with NEON, we had a one-year-long engagement where we had a big group discussion. We assessed how the engagement went. We looked at what were the various products of the engagement and defined future collaborations. So I mentioned NEON before. This has been a very important engagement for us. As I mentioned, it lasted a year. NEON provides a system of monitoring of towers and other types of structures that are deployed in the US in 20 ecoclimatic domains that have distinct landforms, vegetation, climate, and ecosystem dynamics. And these infrastructures have a number of sensors that collect data about the soil, the atmosphere. In aquatic sites, they collect information about water chemistry, morphology, hydrology, and others. They have a number of sites that are fixed, but we also have some relocatable sites that can gather information about our ecosystem for the next 30 years. Additionally, we also have aerial observations that they take yearly of various areas of the country. So one of the working groups that we established with them was around the issues of visualization. So originally, you see it on the left when we started working with NEON, the data portal was a little bit hard to navigate for the users. They could go to the download page and browse the data sets by name and date. There was an API to access the data for when you're accessing larger data sets, but also was hard to browse. Through our working group with them that included Steve Petruza from Utah that has expertise in visualization, we provided them with facilities capabilities that they then included into the portal, where the user could visually select an area of a country or a zone that they're interested in, and then the system would pull up information from that area and allow them to download it at different types of resolutions that were appropriate for that particular user. And so that made, obviously had an impact on usability of the NEON data products. We had other groups that worked with Neon at the same time. We had a data capture group that developed a proof of concept of using newest technologies to gather sensor data and transmit it to the data center. In terms of data processing, so as many of you know, we have expertise in workflow management systems at ISI. This was more of a learning experience for us. We saw the different types of systems workflow management systems that Neon was using. And as a result of that engagement, we co-wrote a paper on exploring workflow management systems from the user's perspective, looking at these new technologies and how they can impact science. We also had a data storage creation and preservation groups, and that was really looking at how to best annotate Neon data from the time it's being collected at the sensor to the time it's being published in the portal, and putting these annotations in a way that's amenable to publication through methods such as schema.org. What was good about that is that we connected the Neon to the broader community, and we brought the knowledge from organizations such as ESIP to Neon, but also we took away the use cases from Neon to inform what the community is doing in the area of schema.org. So it was a very nice bidirectional connection there. With Trusted CI, we also had a working group around identity management, where we advised Neon on how to best deploy existing solutions such as CI logon within the infrastructure. And that resulted in Neon adopting the technology and using this to manage the user access to data, being able to track basically, rather than restricting access, it's more about being able to track the data usage from Neon. And we had a paper about that. So this gives you an idea of what type of activities we have within the pilot phase, and we plan to carry them out into the full center phase as well. This really gave us an opportunity to explore what works within the large facilities and what it is that we can contribute to the large facilities and to the community. We also asked Tom Goldberg, who was our counterpart in Neon and the CI manager there, to tell us about his experience working with us. So this was towards the end of our engagement. And one thing he emphasizes that it was really good timing at the time that we started working with them because they were ready to change. We're entering an enhancement phase within Neon. So very receptive to working with us, and this resulted in a really short ramp-up time, and for us to be very productive together rather quickly. The other benefits, so he saw benefits of our collaborations in the fact that they were able to broaden the network of expert CI colleagues. So Neon is run by Batal, which doesn't sit in our normal campus infrastructures, obviously. So there might be some isolation there from the broader campus community. So we're able to connect them a little bit better in that regard. We're very happy with the remote sensing visualization that we enabled them to do within the data portal. So they considered that a major upgrade and something that they had on the to-do list, but didn't really have the time or expertise to fully accomplish. We accelerated the data portal completion plan and save them time and money, obviously, to do that. In terms of workflows, although we didn't contribute to the infrastructure, we were able to affirm strategies for what they adopted as the work for technologies. And also the same type of affirmation happened in the area of messaging and disaster recovery. There are people within Neon that worked on schema.org and looking at semantic annotations of the data, but they didn't have the critical mass to really engage with the community, and we helped with that. Also, he said that their software developers were very excited about the efforts, and he felt that it made their CI more accountable. So, and he said more coming, and we've worked on and off with them as well. In particular, we worked with NEON and NCAR in 2020. This was a collaboration that started around April, so this was purely virtual, but it was nice that we already had connections to NEON. The goal of collaborating and engaging with both NEON and NCAR is that NEON and NCAR wanted to combine the data that NEON is collecting with atmospheric and land modeling capabilities of NCAR, and put these capabilities within the cloud environment. So this was the goal of this engagement, was to develop a plan, a cyber infrastructure plan, that then they could propose to NSF, and as a result to inspire new discoveries of this integrated data and modeling. In terms of what we provided for them, we consulted in the areas of cloud technologies, including data and containers. We helped them, we commented on the proposal that we're developing with NSF. And in fact, they did propose, as a result of our 2-month engagement, they did write a proposal to NSF, which was funded and will start in November. So we expect to pick up this engagement in the future. We also have another interesting engagement that happened this year, again, virtually. This was with SAGE and GAGE. So these are 2 large facilities that focus on the advancement of geoscience. One looks at seismological facilities. One has more geodetic facilities. But the goal for them and for that was brought to them by NSF was to in the future combine these 2 facilities. So now they're piloting a common cloud platform that can serve as a platform for the future to host data from both facilities and to process it and make it available to the users. So they're now in the period of designing. So this is a funded effort, and the period of designing this common cloud platform. And they already had a number of working groups set up that would look at various issues of a design from the high level, gathering high level requirements, designing CONOPS, designing the platform itself. And so in this case, our CI/CoE pilot members were embedded into these existing working groups, so we didn't form new ones. And we provided advice and guidance as, for example, about the content of the documents that they're producing, about the organization, looking at what we saw within the other large facilities and transferring that knowledge into what SAGE and GAGE are doing. We also gathered community practices around CONOPS and talked to them about that, and altogether best practices in the cloud architecture design. So we contributed to the documents that the working groups are producing, but we also drafted a companion document that can inform other large facilities when they're considering cloud platforms for their computations and data management. So we have a document that talks about cloud migration consideration, data and research orchestration, messaging, supporting fair data principles, and identity management. So things that others can take away as messages from this effort. These were some examples of the deep engagements that we have conducted with large facilities over the past couple of years. We are now entering our 3rd year of the project. And in addition to these deep engagements, we also have 2 other types of engagements that we have with the large facilities and the broader community. One are topical discussions where we identify a particular topic that's of interest to a number of facilities. So identity management, for example, is such a topic where we organize working groups where we invite speakers to talk about issues related to this topic. And then we have discussions. We also organize sessions at conferences, and we collect and share their experiences in the form of documents or videos. We also have community building efforts where We identify related efforts and build these broader partnerships, or participate in organized community workshops where we can bring expertise from a variety of experts. And each of these efforts has working groups and leaders from both sides, many sides, and a set of work products. So some of the examples of these working group of community engagements, I mentioned the Identity Management Working Group. This is done in collaboration with Trusted CI. And so we have monthly meetings and speakers talking about various topics. A number of large facilities participate in that. We also organized a workshop with Research Talk this summer, focusing on cyber infrastructure and cybersecurity. And we brought a number of discussion topics to the workshop. We had office hours, for example, that talked about big data visualization, cloud migration consideration, ConOps, fair data, and many others. Workforce development as well, which is an important part of our effort. Finally, to round off our and prepare for this blueprint for Cyber Infrastructure Center of Excellence and the eventual building of the center, we also conducted interviews with large facilities centering around the data lifecycle, so understand how the data flows through the facilities, from the data capture to the initial processing at the centers, at the sensors, to the processing at the data center, archiving, and then dissemination. So we want to understand what CI underpins these various elements of a data lifecycle, and how a Cyber Infrastructure Center of Excellence can engage with the large facilities to speed up that lifecycle and improve it, make it more robust. And then we also interviewed a number of cyber infrastructure managers within the large facilities to understand how they attain, develop, and grow their workforce, and to also understand what are the challenges that they face when they manage their CI workforce, and to see what we can do as a Cyber Infrastructure Center of Excellence to enhance the CI workforce within the large facilities and the broader community. So we are currently finalizing the results of these interviews. So so this is my second to last slide. Sorry, the plans that we have for the CI-CoE is to continue our various engagements, to finalize the blueprint of how a Cyber Infrastructure Center of Excellence would look like. And as part of this, we have developed a mission for the center that we hope to put forward to NSF in the coming months, to write a proposal for a Cyber Infrastructure Center of Excellence. And that mission is to provide expertise and active support to cyber infrastructure practitioners at the NSF large facilities in order to accelerate the data lifecycle and ensure the integrity and effectiveness of a cyber infrastructure upon which research and discovery depends. And as you remember, cyber infrastructure in our definition also includes people. So we do hope to have also impact in the area of workforce development, and that will be part of our blueprint and what we propose to the NSF in the coming months. If you're interested to learn more about this, you can visit our website at cicoepilot.org. And also, if you're interested more broadly in what's going on in cyber infrastructure for large facilities, we have a website that hosts the materials and reports from the previous workshops, from the CI for large facilities from 2017 and also 2019. And finally, also in the spring of this year, there was before the pandemic, there was a very interesting workshop led by Valeria Pascucci about smart CI. And they also recently put out a report on that, which many of you may find interesting.